in that. So like I said, we talked about cost accounting in our previous session. So today we'll be talking about something different. Okay. All right. So today we'll be talking about staff management, teamwork, and relationship of work or staff and cooperative members. Most times, we may not see the importance of this topic until you get into the field where you have to attend to cooperative members. Staff management is quite important. Relationship of staff and cooperative members are very, very important. So at the end of today's session, the expectation is that every student should be able to understand the concept of teamwork. Every student should be able to identify the manager's responsibility in sustaining teamwork. Every student should be able to recognize or even itemize or discuss teamwork that is required for the survival of a cooperative society. Every student should be able to itemize the type of relationships staff and members of a cooperative should form, especially in a producer's cooperative. A student should be able to, in its very miniature manner, explain how a manager can improve relationship between non-members, workers, and member employees. Every student should be able to also relate with and discuss the relationship between staff member after the pioneer members must have retired from the cooperative. Okay, let's go straight to it. As a way of introduction, what do we really mean by teamwork? If you take a look at the ant hill, you will realize what is real, what is said, or what is meant by teamwork. Go to any ant hill, you will notice the ants are not disorganized. They are quite organized. They are quite small and miniature, but they are quite organized. Some are gathering food. Some are building the spoiled part of their ant hills. Some are soldier ants. Some are protecting the queen. The work is divided equitably, and everyone knows his own function in that divide. Now, teamwork is crucial for effective management of producers' cooperative because it is the engine oil for good job. Teamwork, without doubt, is responsible for the organization's performance, but it can only be achieved where cordial relationship, well-defined responsibility, and job descriptions are well spelled out. Everyone knows what to do in this situation where all these things are spelled out, and everyone knows when to do it. So let's examine teamwork in the light of good staff management. Now, for producers cooperative, staff management and teamwork should be easy since the members or almost all members constitute the staff. You know, producers cooperative, their members are the producers, they're the ones working for you, they're owners, they're workers as well. So it could be relatively easy to manage your staff because all of you are cooperative members. However, the manager's ability to organize, delegate duties, and coordinate remains very crucial. Otherwise, achievement on that teamwork will be almost impossible. Why? People will dispute, people will have conflict. They can't be able to, they don't know what to do and when. Even when they know what to do, they don't know when. Even when they know when to do it, they may not know how and all that. So delegation is a concept that underpins a style of management which allows your staff to use and develop their skills and knowledge to the full potential. Without delegation, you lose their full value. Delegation. Okay, so this concept of delegation helps managers to organize and to coordinate and all that to achieve organizational objective. Now, the concept of delegation, what does it really mean? Delegation is primarily about entrusting your authority. You have the authority, you are the boss. You entrust your authority to other persons. This means that they can now act and initiate independent duties. They can carry out initiative independently, and that they can assume responsibility with you for certain tasks. If something goes wrong, you remain responsible since you are the manager. The trick is to delegate in such a way that things get done, but do not go bad or badly wrong. All right. So you are the manager, you have checked it. It's okay. I'll give some of my subordinates this task to do. They are my tasks, but I'll delegate it to them. Of course, if they fail, I fail. Now, but because I have delegated it to them, I will ensure they don't fail. You see that? So delegation is primarily entrusting your authority to others. Now, what is the objective of this? The objective of delegation is to get the job done by someone else, not you. Not just the simple task of reading instructions and turning in a lever or pushing one button or the other, but also the decision-making part of these duties and changes which depends upon new information. Because as you are doing the job, changes will come. The boss ahead, the boss at the top will send a message that will require you to take a decision to make a change. Or information, market information, situational information will come in. Because you are a manager, you will use that information and make an informed decision. That changes. Can your delegates, those you delegated to, can they come up with such, make changes based on such information? So the objective of delegation is to get the job done by someone else. All right. Now, with delegation, your staff have the authority to react to situations without referring back to you. That means they have the completeness of mind to know that this is the right thing to do. That is decision making. To enable someone else to do the job for you, you must ensure they know what you know, they know what you want, they have the authority to achieve it. Well, the first one we say they know what you know. They don't need to know everything you know anyway. Now, they know how to do it. This all depends upon communicating clearly the nature of the task, the extent of their discretion, and the sources of relevant information and knowledge thereof. So, what is information in the light of delegation? Such a system can only operate or successfully if the decision maker, that is the young one you are trying to delegate, the young staff you are trying to give tasks to, have full and rapid access to the relevant information that you may have, because you can't delegate and withdraw the tools they need to work. That means you want them to fail. This means that you must establish a system to enable the flow of information. Remember, you are the boss. Information flow towards you easily. You are the manager. Now, you are delegating the job to someone, information doesn't flow towards easily, meaning that there will be a lacuna. There will be a lacuna. So you must ensure that or establish a system to enable the flow of information, either to the person directly or through you to that person. This must at least include regular exchange between your staff so that each is aware of what the others are doing. It should also include briefings by you on the information which you have received in your role as manager. Since if you need to know this information to do your job, your staff will need to know also if they are to do your delegated job for you. So you see the need is quite important. Now, the manager who fears this challenge will never delegate effectively. That is challenge of information dissemination. The manager who recognizes that the staff may have additional experience and knowledge, and so the enhanced decision-making process will welcome their input. Delegation ensures that staff will practice decision making and will feel that their views are welcome. Now, let's also talk about effective control in the light of delegation. One of the main phobias, one of the main fears about delegation is that by giving others authority, a manager loses control. Well, it could be a fear, very valid at a point. This need not be the case. If you train your staff to apply the same criteria as you would yourself, by example and full explanation, then they will be exercising your control on your behalf. And since they will witness many more situations over which control may be exercised, you can't be in several places at the same time. Then that control is exercised more diversely and more rapidly than you could exercise it by yourself by delegating some of your authority to them. You are here exercising that control and that authority. Yeah, they're exercising that level of authority as well. So don't be afraid of losing control. Now, in engineering terms, if maintaining control is truly your concern, then you should distribute the control mechanism to enable parallel and autonomous processing. All right. Now, let's talk about staggered development in the light of delegation. To understand delegation, you really have to think about people. Delegation without or cannot be viewed as an abstract technique, all right? It depends upon individuals and individual needs. Let us take a lowly member of staff and who has little or no knowledge about the job which needs to be done, all right? Let's take that as for example. Now, the key is to delegate gradually to such a person, all right? Because if you lump all your authority and everything tax on that person, the person may collapse. It's a low staff for a reason because it's not much of, it doesn't have much of experience. So the key is to delegate gradually. If you present someone with a task which is daunting, that is heavy task, one with which he or she does not feel able to cope, then the task will not be done and your staff will be severely demotivated. So what do? You give him that same task, but you break it into 2 or 3 sections. So you give him the first one. Obviously, that one is the easiest, and that will be easily sorted out. And that will be a morale booster instead of a demotivator. So instead of you building up gradually, first a small task leading to a little development, then another small task which will build up upon the first one. When that is achieved, another add another task or another stage, so on and so forth. That way, he builds confidence going forward and achieving task upon task upon task. So, okay, still on delegation, let's talk about constrained availability. Constrained availability. Now, there is a danger with open access that you become too involved with the task you had hoped to delegate. All right, you delegated a job and you are there, going there always to check. So that is a little clumsy. You can't delegate, and the person still has you as the person still doing the job. Two of you are tied down to doing the job, and it's not even effective. One successful strategy to avoid this is to formalize the manner in which this conversation takes place. One formalism is to allow only fixed regular encounters except for emergency between you and those you are delegating with. You might even insist on a draw-up agenda. A second formalism is to refuse to make a decision unless the subordinate has provided you with a clear statement of alternatives, pros and cons, and his own recommendation on a particular situation. So instead of delegate your someone you delegated to be calling you all the time, but girl, what can I do here? Or girl, what can I do here? No, that's not good. That's not good. So you could just say in the morning, get some briefing. That is the only time we meet. Or in case of an emergency. Apart from that, take all the decisions. Or the second formalism is to refuse to make anytime there's an issue they call upon you. You ask the person clearly, what is your opinion on this matter? That will build the person's confidence to do that job going forward. So these are delegation and some concepts that relate to delegation. Now, still on delegation, what is the outcomes and failure as relating to delegation? Let us consider your undoubtedly high standard. Probably you are a manager that says everything must be top notch. You must do it like this. You must do it like this. You must achieve this. When you delegate a job, it does not have to be done as well as you could do it. Remember, you are now the boss. You went through several times of testing before you were able to do it correctly and perfectly. Now you are delegating to someone that has never done it before. Then give that person a little room, at least not to do it as well as you will do it, but only as well as necessary. Just give the person room to do it as well as necessary. Never judge the outcome by what you expect you would do. It is difficult to be objective about that, all right? But rather, by fitness for purpose, that is, has this person done it enough? Is it well enough? Has it only been uh, done in a manner that at least we can use or do this function in this manner? It could be better, but can we work with this? When you delegate a task, agree then upon the criteria and standard by which the outcome will be judged. That is, by this time of the day, you must have finished this particular task. By this time of the day, you must have done at least this particular task. So that the person knows the baseline for judgment before he goes into the job. So you must enable failure. That's give some little room for failure. With appropriate monitoring, you should be able to catch mistakes before they are catastrophic. If not, then the failure is yours. Remember, you are the one that delegated the authority. It's yours as the manager. So if it fails, you failed. Now, what to delegate as a manager? There's always the question of what to delegate and what to do yourself. Because when you delegate, you have to do something. So, and what to do yourself. And you must take a long-term view on this. You want to delegate as much as possible to develop your staff to be as good as you are now, right? So you must look futuristically how long you want this to happen. Now, the starting point is to consider the activities you used to do before you were promoted to your present position. You used to do them when you were more junior, so someone junior can do them now. So you take down out of your schedule. Tasks in which you have experience are the easiest for you to explain to others. All right. So to train them to take over is quite easy. So you understand certain part of this, okay, I will teach them this part. This other ones, I was doing it before I got to this position, so I can delegate it to another person. So you are understanding, you are breaking out things, and you are now knowing the one you will do and the one you will delegate. You should use your experience to ensure that the task is done, because no matter how you think that these ones are tasks I was doing when I was junior before I promoted, this guy should be able to handle it immediately. Remember, he has never done it before or she has never done it before. So you use your experience to teach the person those tasks so that it can be done well, rather than to just actually perform the task yourself again, because it will be you working in two places. In this way, you gain time for your other duties. Someone else becomes as good as you once were, increasing the strength of your group, your organization, or your cooperative. Now, another task that what to delegate again, task in which your staff have more experience must be delegated to them. This does not mean that you relinquish responsibility because they are experts, but it does mean that the default decision should be theirs. To be a good manager, though, you should ensure that they spend some time in explaining these decisions to you so that you learn their criteria. Why are they doing what they're doing? Why are they taking this decision? And as a manager, you don't know everything. And some tasks are required of you. For example, let me give an example. You are the manager in charge of entire production. But apart from the physical and the technical part of production, there is a part that the manager is also in charge of doing. Documentation. You must document what you do. And of course, you can use your secretary to implement some of those documentation, or any of the staff. Probably your cooperative is not as big to have a secretary. You can call one of the staff and delegate that part of it to his own function. It says, you do the documentation for me. And peradventure, you have sampled opinions, checked on them, and one of them has secretarial experience. This is one of the tasks where your staff has more experience than you. Yes, it's your responsibility to document, but now you delegate it to such a staff because it has more experience in it, which is additional quality he brings to the table or she brings to the table. However, while she's doing those documentation for you, you must ask the critical questions and they must explain to you the criteria by which they're doing it, because you cannot be ignorant about it. Another thing that can be delegated. Decisions are a normal managerial function. Because as managers, we know managers make decisions on a day-to-day basis. These two should be delegated, especially if they are important to the staff. In practice, you will need to establish the boundaries of these decisions so that you can live with the outcomes. But this will only take you a little time, while the delegation of the remainder of the task will save you more time. Now, in terms of motivation for your staff, you should distribute the more mundane tasks as evenly as possible. Let me say something about this a bit. In every role, in every job, there are mundane tasks. That is the job most people don't want to do. The task some people don't want to do. Most people don't want to do it. For example, let me take my own role as a teacher. As a university teacher, teaching is good. All right. Going to lectures is good. But there's a part of teaching that most of us that lecture don't like. That part is the role or the part of marking and scoring students because it's hard. It's laborious. Now, the same thing you can apply to a producer's cooperative. There's a particular part, maybe let us say machine cleaning, machine maintenance. Every staff should go through machine maintenance because our producers cooperative is producing shoes and our machine needs to be cleaned at the end of the day, has to be serviced at the end of the day. And we are all supposed to know how to do it because it's a routine. Now, most people will want to dodge and run away from it. Make sure the mundane tasks, such as that, is divided evenly among your staff as, as evenly as possible and sprinkle the more exciting ones as widely as possible as well. Today, you are the head of the team. Don't let one person be the head. Let it rotate around since the task can be delegated. You are the boss, but now you put someone to be in your place. Distribute it around each of them so that they can. That one is more exciting too. So in general, but especially with the boring task, you should be careful to delegate not only the performance of the task, but also the ownership. Because most times when you delegate this job, what people notice is that he didn't do it well. That is what is heightened in the minds of people. But what of when he did it well? Always point and say, wow, it is Michael. He did it very well. Wow, it is Sophia. She did. So the ownership of the job should not just say, when they do it well, I am the boss because I delegated my authority. When they did not do it well, I will now call them. No, also call them. It's also a way of motivation. Task delegation rather than task assignment enables innovation. The point you need to get across is that the task may be changed, developed, upgraded, if necessary or desirable. Now, another concept we'll talk about is negotiation. Since delegation is about handing over authority, you cannot dictate what is delegated nor how the delegation is to be managed. To control delegation, you need to establish at the beginning the task itself. You must specify the task itself. The reporting schedule. This is the task. You have to do this, and do this. And you have to report this, this, and this. And this is the time for the report. You have to also specify the sources of information, your availability, and the criteria of success. If you don't do this baseline, you've not succeeded. If you do this, you have succeeded. Anything more than that is excellent. These you must negotiate with your staff only by obtaining both their input and their agreement can help, or their agreement can you hope to arrive at a workable procedure. So that is what we refer as negotiation in delegation, so that every party is involved, every party knows what is the expectation, the task involved, and what to deliver at the end of the day. Now, when all is done for you, what next? Once you have delegated everything, what do you do then? You still need to monitor the task you have delegated. Remember, you are the one that will fail if they fail. You are the one that has succeeded if they succeeded. And you have to continue the development of your staff to help them exercise their authority well. There are managerial functions which you should never delegate. All right. These are the personal ones, which are often the most obvious additions to your responsibility as you assume a managerial role. Specifically, they include things like motivation. You as the manager should motivate your staff. You don't delegate it. Training, you must carry it out or call those that will do it. Team building, organization, praising, reprimanding. That is when one has not done right, you reprimand the person. Performance reviews, it is your responsibility. And then promotion, don't delegate that. Now, as a manager, you have the responsibility to represent and to develop the effectiveness of your group within the company or the production cooperative. The manager has to set out and define the jobs to be done. Determine the type of people required to perform the task, and determine the procedure for carrying them out. Staff must be trusted, encouraged, and praised for job well done. All right. Managers must learn to ask why things are done badly and who did it. It's necessary because if your role is to reprimand, your role is to promote, you need to know these details. It is only in this way the manager will create a good atmosphere and a right attitude for work and team work. Okay. Now, what's the relationship of a staff of a cooperative and a producer cooperative member? Now, let's take a little bit of breather here and ask a simple question. What's the difference between the two? A producer cooperative member can be a worker in a cooperative, while people that are not producers cooperative members can also be a worker in a cooperative, meaning that their own nomenclature is that they are staffs, but they are not members. So we're not talking about the relationship of staff of a producers cooperative and the producer cooperative member. What is their relationship? Good relationship between the staff and members of a producers cooperative will increase productivity. That's obvious. This is why the manager exerts energy at promoting cordial relationship with the non-members workers of the producers cooperative alongside with the members of the producers cooperative. Let's examine this relationship between these two caliber of persons. In most producers cooperative, especially industrial producers cooperative, a small percentage of labor is made up of non-members. And this small percentage consists mostly of non-skilled workers, maybe casual workers and so on. So in this instance, it is the manager's duty to make sure that non-member staff their affairs are taken care of in terms of appropriate remuneration, their promotion, their education, interactions with members outside of the office and the work hours and so on, to make them relate well with management and members as a whole. Of course, they will realize that members that are working there have certain privileges because they are members and owners. But they that are just staff don't enjoy those privileges. So it's the work of the manager to ensure that this interaction is not toxic, it is cordial. At the beginning of the establishment of a producers cooperative, members' relations will be natural and cordial. All members will work with great enthusiasm. The fact that members joined by skill, that is, they work because they are all skilled in the same area, depends on their wages from the society, and they depend on their wages from the society, and they will make them more committed and loyal. Other motivating factor is expected, things like bonuses from surpluses of the society at the end of each financial. These are the things that makes those cordiality work. All right. Now, if, however, the expectation in form of greater or increased remuneration, adequacies, or and increase in surplus, bonus, and all that are realized membership interest may change. Now, if these expectations are now not met because members don't get the bonuses they expected, or staff don't get the bonuses they're expecting, but members are getting, and subsequently the relationship may become adverse or affected. So it's the work of the manager to ensure that this does not affect production. After many years of operations of a producers cooperative, and when many of the pioneer members must have retired, the new members may not attach appropriate importance to the business of the society and relations with members. They may not. Okay. So if, for instance, the new members do not accord attendance to meetings, they do not accord importance to attendance of meetings and other society programs required, they don't accord the importance they require to these things, they might not be able to interact with members and be well informed about the societies business. Because it's only when you attend meetings that you know what is happening. But if you don't attend meetings, you don't know what is happening. Okay. Now, members of cooperative must now it's important that members efforts to improve and maintain good relationship must be geared towards regular general meetings and other types of meetings where both the present and sorry, excuse me. Okay. Now, members of cooperative must be encouraged to use society services regularly to its fullness, increase their capital shares, contribute to the production of of standard products, work hard to get job done, contribute new ideas. These are the things managers will encourage members to do. And that is where cordiality comes in. Now, efforts to improve and maintain good relationship must be geared towards regular general meeting because in that meeting, interactions happen. Other types of meetings where both the present and future businesses of the cooperative are discussed and thoroughly explained to members. All right. Now, education of members, workshops, seminars, and exhibitions, excursions, and so on are genuine ways of getting members to interact and build cordial relationships in the interest of cooperative business. So that's important. Now, the president, because we have every cooperative has a president of the society. The president of the society has a lot to offer to promote relationship between members. All right. His leadership role points to this. The president is the leader of the producers cooperative. He exercises his leadership both inside the cooperative and outside the cooperative society's community. He represents the society in the community, hence on him lies the task of maintaining harmonious relations with the community at large and with other producers in the industrial cooperative. So you see his role is quite important. He must be able to command the respect, or she may be able to command the respect of members, government officials, and also that. He must be able to speak well in public and be willing to work hard for the corporate. Within the society, he is the superior officer and has the greatest responsibility. So he carries out his leadership in many ways. All right. Now, um, the president's leadership is particularly relevant at society's meetings. Why is it so? Both committees and general meetings alike. Good chairmanship, which the president takes this position, good chairmanship is vital to management success. It will, in a large measure, determine the success of all the other relationships throughout the organization. At the meeting, the experienced chairman shows his worth, how he balances opinion, how he lets people speak, how he controls the meeting. That is very key to harmonious relationship between members. Now, he must allow reasonable freedom of speech and allow members express opinion. All right. But he must keep discussions within the bounds and free from personality. That is, don't call names, don't attack people, don't be personalizing things. That is why members must address the chair and why questions are put to the chair and not directly to another member. So he's responsible for all this. So it must be respected. He must be able to persuade the members at the meeting to reconcile their differences, other that decisions that are acceptable to the majority of those present can be reached and passed. So that's the relationship between staff and producer cooperative members and cooperative members themselves. In summary, today we've highlighted teamwork for excellent achievement of organizational goal, and I expect that we'll see in our subsequent class if time permits. I hope that all the students have attempted their discussion forum questions because it's a prerequisite for attempting your TMAs. Like I say always, take your time to attempt the in-course assignments. These questions on your screen as you're looking at it now, it will always help you in your discussion forum as well as ultimately when you try to write your exams. Now, thank you for joining. If you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask. But if you don't, call it a day today. I really appreciate seeing you in class today. That is I don't know your name, but I can see your icon there. So if you can unmute yourself, we appreciate you. All right. So since we can't see you, that's my face. I hope I can see your face too. All right. Thank you, students, for joining. See you in my